Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. So I told you last night that I would come back if the spirit hit me. The episode was kind of meh, so I didn't feel the need to come back last night. But I did want to kill two birds with one stone today. So we are going to recap episode 3 of Hard Knocks, in addition to taking a look at Tankathon for week 15. We've got 15 weeks in the books. 3 weeks remain. The Commanders are still in prime position for a top 5 pick, despite beating the Giants yesterday. And I'm going to show you the path to that. We've actually got a really juicy week coming up, really the next 2 weeks in particular. And then, you know, the last week of the season, all bets are off. A lot of teams have already clinched playoff berths, don't need the game, and anything can happen when you're playing those divisional games. So the Commanders are in a very good spot still. Now, obviously, the number 1 pick out of reach at this point with the win, but we'll talk more about Tankathon here in a bit. But before we do that, let's start this show off by talking about Hard Knocks, NFC East, episode number 3. It was a solid episode. This one I thought was my least favorite of the 3 thus far. The Commanders portion of it was okay. I think we all know that this show has lost its luster. What it was supposed to be, it's not ever going to be. And I think I have to rewire my brain to just enjoying the show for what it is and not looking for it to be what it was supposed to be. That's probably why I'm struggling with it. I don't really know what I want them to do, right? They've been dealt a very nasty hand, okay? How many times can they show us Jaden Daniels? I'm going to throw up if they show me another montage of Jaden Daniels running wind sprints at practice. I'm going to vomit, okay? I don't need to see that every episode, okay? We know he's injured. I don't need to see him running wind sprints, okay? So that seems to be a theme that they go with every week. I guess maybe next week, now that he's out, maybe they will go through Jaden Daniels being out of the rest of the season, and maybe they'll talk to him. Maybe we'll actually see him on camera, because we saw him on camera for his giveaway. That was basically it. We really haven't seen him in the facility, you know, at all, interacting with his teammates, none of that. Even when they're in the quarterback's room, it was Josh Johnson, Marcus Mariota, and Sam Hartman, I believe. It wasn't Jaden Daniels. So, like, we haven't really seen him at all. And I thought he'd still be around. And being that he's not on IR, thought we'd still hear from him. And I think they did talk to him about, you know, being out and it sucks and this, that, and the third. But ultimately, really disappointed with what they can do from a Commander standpoint. And again, I need to be okay with the fact that we don't have a storyline. With no Jaden Daniels, we suck. Marcus Mariota, love him to death. He's boring. Did you guys watch the mic'd up, by the way? Just as an aside, have you watched the Marcus Mariota mic'd up from the Broncos game? That should have been awesome. He was spectacular in that game. And it was a sequence. It was about 10 minutes of Marcus Mariota thanking people and telling people good job. And he's a boring guy, and that's okay. Be you, right? Marcus Mariota. And again, if you're mic'd up, you're going to probably be a bit subdued. But we've seen mic'd ups where guys are out having fun. They're messing with people. Like, that's not Marcus Mariota. It's just not. So, like, following him around isn't going to do you any good, because you're not going to get any great sound bites from him, clearly. And that's kind of where they are now. They don't have anyone like this. Is why we've talked about like a Hard Knocks that just follows Washington. How I don't think it would be great. I don't think it would be fun to have Washington be on Hard Knocks. We don't have enough personalities. You know, Sam Hartman is one of our best personalities. He's a practice squad quarterback that probably shouldn't even be here, right? We watched him in the preseason last year. He's awful. He's great for the morale of the team. He's one of the funniest guys on the roster. He gets along with everybody. But if that's the guy that you're relying on for content, then you have a problem. And that's kind of where we are. We have a boring bunch. So we're not entertaining. And, you know, they showed Ben Sinnott watching film with Zach Ertz. I think that's great for his development. And Ertz seems to be very receptive to continuing to help him despite being injured. He told him, hey, that was a great practice. You know, send me, you know, all of the film from practice. We can go over it, text me, whatever. So, you know, Ben Sinnott needs every bit of help he can get, obviously, to try to maximize the reps that he'll be getting moving forward. And it seems like Zach Ertz's, you know, role in that building is huge, because even DQ talked about, you know, wanting to talk to Zach Ertz before he has his surgery, and he's not around because he'll be rehabbing at that point. He wanted to pick his brain about things that he could do better moving forward. So Ertz clearly has a massive role within that building. You saw Bobby Johnson, who I must say is in tremendous shape. He must have had some sort of surgery or something, because, you know, the Bobby Johnson we met, the O-line Bobby Johnson we met when he first got the job, and the O-line Bobby Johnson I was looking at last night. And I remember someone brought it up over the summertime. It was like, man, Bobby Johnson lost a lot of weight. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Now, you can see it now. Like, O-line Bobby Johnson lost a lot of weight. But he was talking to the O-line, and, you know, that's cool. I think that's going to be one of the groups that ultimately end up being a linchpin for this football team. And if you're playing in the NFC East, it better be, right? You're playing against Dallas, you're playing against Philadelphia. And, you know, even though the Giants have been disappointing in terms of their pass rush and things of that nature this year, they still got talent there. So if you're going to try and thrive in this division, you better be able to block up front. And I think that group is going to go a long way in helping this team be the team that they want to ultimately be. So, you know, listening to him talk about those guys and their roles, and he was really straightforward with them. Like, look, you know, if we're going to win, it's going to start with us. Y'all got to get y'all shit together, basically, is what he said in a nutshell. And we saw guys like Brandon Coleman step up in the game on Sunday, right? Hopefully Laramie Tunsil can go this week, but if he can't, we know Coleman is capable of stepping in. That's going to be one of the best matchups this weekend. If we can protect up front, if we can neutralize Philadelphia's front, we got a shot in that game. But we'll talk more about that on Commanders Nightly News as we'll start looking at the Philadelphia Eagles today. But ultimately, even the game, right? We played the Giants. I expected, but again, we suck. They suck. So I don't know what I was truly expecting, but I remember last year's Hard Knocks, and I guess, you know, in thinking about it, in some of those episodes, all four teams were playing against each other. So you didn't have to split it up as much, now that I'm kind of playing it back in my mind, because you only had two games that you really had to focus in on. Whereas if the other two teams who aren't playing one another are playing different teams, you still have to tackle their games as well. Last year, though, also what they would do is they would focus in on the two teams playing in the division, spend a lot of time on them. They might even pick, like I remember last year, they picked a player in particular on those teams and kind of followed them around. So for the Steelers, it was Hayward, right? So they would follow him around. You remember his brother's on the team too. So it was Cam Hayward, it was his brother, and they would be at home and they'd be talking. You know, they followed Joe Burrow around last year, and Jamar Chase. Like, they pick out individuals, and they just haven't done that for this Hard Knocks. They haven't done that for any of the teams. They haven't picked out a player and said, hey, we're going to follow his arc, his storyline. And I don't think they're devoting enough time to these games individually. But again, it's a lot easier to not devote a ton of time to these games when they're not good. Like the Eagles played the Raiders. Who gives a shit? You know, Cowboys played the Vikings. Vikings are out of playoff contention. So are the Cowboys. Who gives a shit? We played the Giants. Who cares? So they're not compelling games. This one might be a little bit more compelling. Chargers and Cowboys is a good game. We're playing the Eagles. That should matter. They're in first place. It's on a Saturday. So maybe we'll get a little bit more shine this week. And the Giants are playing the Vikings again. They're going to show the Giants they're part of the NFC East. Who cares that they're playing the Vikings? But again, I don't know what I'm expecting HBO to do. Right? Their hands are tied behind their back, basically, because of the hand they've been dealt with all the injuries. Like their main storyline with Washington was going to be Jaden Daniels. Well, he's not playing. So what do you pivot to next? Oh yeah, and the team sucks, by the way. So what do? Right? Who do you go to for a soundbite? You know, they tried to go to Zach Ertz and he got hurt, right? Like, and they pick their storylines based off of what happens in the game. Like this episode was focused a lot on Brandon Aubrey with the Cowboys in particular. Why? Because he missed kicks in this game. So he became a storyline. He's one of the best kickers in league history. He broke a bunch of records in the game against Detroit. So they centered their coverage on Dallas around him. And then he goes out and he kicked solidly, but not up to the Brandon Aubrey standard that we're accustomed to. So they followed him, right? And they spotlighted him and his wife and their young son. And that's what I'm more accustomed to seeing. And they just haven't done that with the other teams. They did that last year when they did in-season Hard Knocks with the AFC North. They did that for every team. They followed a guy. Like with the Browns, they followed Denzel Ward, right? With the Bengals, they followed Burrow at one point and Jamar Chase at one point. Cam Hayward with the Steelers. And we got to see a lot of those, meetings. Like when you were playing a team, when the Browns were playing the Steelers, we get to hear Mike Tomlin talk about, hey, we got to stop this guy right here. This guy is the central focus of, if we don't stop Jamar Chase, right? If they're playing the Bengals, we don't stop Jamar Chase, we're not going to have a shot. We're going to need a big game from you, TJ Watt. We're going to need a big game from you, Highsmith, right? Like these are the things that we heard last year. We're not hearing any of that stuff. We're not getting those in-depth meetings where they're talking about their opponent. I'm a little disappointed. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little disappointed. But in saying that, last year, the division was on the line in the AFC North. Like Pittsburgh was holding on for dear life. Baltimore was making a mad dash, and Cincinnati wasn't out of it yet. So there was still enough storylines to carry. The only team that really was truly out of it was Cleveland. Everybody in our division is out of it except for Philadelphia. So I think I just have to temper my expectations moving forward. We messed it up. The division messed this up. The NFL set it up for this thing to be, especially for us in particular. They set it up so that we would have 4 straight division games to finish out, 2 of which would be against Philadelphia. They thought they'd be good and we'd be good and we'd be battling it out, and this would make for a great storyline for the show. And we screwed the pooch. We screwed the pooch. We messed up. And again, I mean, you can't control injuries and all of the crazy shit that has happened to us this year. But the fact of the matter is, we didn't hold up our end of the bargain. Dallas didn't hold up their end of the bargain, and everyone knew the Giants were going to suck. So they just did what they were supposed to do. And the Eagles even made it competitive. Like the Eagles could have run away with this thing if they would have had their shit together this year. It wouldn't the storyline that they were clinging to was hoping that Dallas would, make a charge and be in this thing and at least have a 2-team race to give it some sort of intrigue. Dallas screwed that up by losing to Minnesota. So that storyline is pretty much gone. So again, this thing is going to fizzle out. I'm going to watch. Obviously, I'm going to watch, but it's going to fizzle out because there's no juice. There's no Jaden Daniels for the Commanders. You know, the Giants are a mess. The Eagles have this thing pretty much wrapped up. I mean, with the Eagles, it's literally what they're saying. It's like, we just got to worry about us. We can't worry about anything else because they got the division already wrapped up. And then the Cowboys are the Cowboys, right? It's Jerry Jones, right? Like, he's probably gotten more airtime than anybody on their team. And Dak and Jerry have dominated the Cowboys, which, I mean, it's to be expected. Quarterback and the owner who loves the camera. You know, I never get enough of the Jerry shots in the press box of him being pissed off because, you know, Dallas loses almost every week, it feels like. And, you know, he slams his little old hand on the thing. Man, God damn nabbit. They scored another touchdown on us. We suck again. God damn. I never get enough of those. Show me that shit 50 million times on a loop of Jerry. Damn it. And then the swivel chair turns after they lose again, and he gets up. Show me that shit on a loop. You know, and then them coping in their little media room as they're talking about George Pickens, and as long as he loves football, you know, I think he's got the appetite to love football. What the hell are you talking about, man? Are you going to sign this kid or not? Because this is what comes with the George Pickens package. Either you're going to deal with his mood swings and him, you know, being a malcontent at times and him being moody as hell. Either you're going to deal with all of that shit and him being a crash out, or you're not. This is a part of the George Pickens package. Do you want it or not? They're just talking. Does he have an appetite for competition? I think he does. What are you talking about, man? I think he has the competition stamina. Get him off my damn screen talking about some damn competition stamina and bullshit like that. George Pickens is what he is. Either you want him and you want to invest in him, or you don't. They're not going to invest in him long-term this offseason. They're going to franchise tag him. That situation is going to get ugly. I will say some non-sequitur shit. Real quick, Jalen Hurts had on the new Jordan 11s. Them shits are crispy. Dak's 11s that he had on versus the Vikings. Them shits was so effing clean. My God. Oh, but ultimately the episode was you know. But again, I think I just need to temper my expectations. We don't have a star in our building when there's no Jaden Daniels. Or at least they're not talking to those guys that could be stars, that could be, you know, captivating characters that we fall in love with. We're not seeing it. You know what I mean? Ours feels real man basic, and, you know, that's kind of where we are. So anyway, let's get to Tankathon. But before we do that, let's get a word from our sponsor, come back on the other side, and then we're going to dive into Tankathon. You guys want to see this. Trust me. Sleeper. Sleeper is the best way to experience and connect over sports together. It's a one-stop shop for all of your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat in the games in real time with other users, get the fastest scores, blazing fast news and alerts right at your fingertips. Play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports the way they were meant to, together. Download the #1 sports app today. Predict the hottest football stats like passing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and much more to cash in on your daily fantasy football skills. Use promo code LTN and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Sleeper. So Washington Carter made a great point. DQ talked about darts. So yes, they did talk about the opponent. It was so brief though. Washington Carter. It was so brief. Like if you watch last year's Hard Knocks, they talk about Jamar Chase as a whole. Like Mike Tomlin would talk about Jamar Chase, or he would talk about, you know, Chase Brown, right? Like we got to stop this guy. He can really run the football. And then they would go to the defensive line room and they would talk some more about Joe Burrow, how we got to affect Joe Burrow. Like there was so many layers to it. It was so much more. They literally showed one clip of Jackson Dart getting his block knocked off by Ellis of the Patriots on the sideline, and they talking about, oh, he's a runner. He's like, they ain't say shit. We know he run the ball. We know he don't want to slide. We know he's going to take shots. And if he's going to run, make him pay. That ain't shit. That ain't no insight. That ain't really giving us no insight as to, what some, and again, they're not going to give us game plan stuff. But I just felt like we got so much more last year, if that makes sense. So, but again, I just got to temper my expectations. I'm asking for too much. I get it. We're not like, there was reason to be engaged last year because you had 3 teams fighting for playoff spots last year. There's just one team going to the playoffs from this division. So I get it. Anyway, and we're not a main character, by the way. We're not a main character. They tried to give us main character energy and we blew it. So yeah. You're not wrong though, Washington Carter. And that's a great observation by you. So let's go ahead and get to the Tankathon. So as you can see, Commanders snap. I'm just happy about the column all the way to the right. All right. It no longer says streak lost 8 in a row, right? Would have said 9. Had we lost, we would have had the longest streak in football. I'm just glad that it's no longer green and we're no longer, featuring the longest losing streak in football. Like, as much as I want the pick, I don't want what it takes to get the pick. So you can't have both, right? If they don't win another game, I'm fine with that. I trust me. I want to beat Philadelphia this week. I want to beat Dallas 5 days later. You have no idea how bad I want to win those 2 games. Again, if we fall down to the 13th pick because of it, so be it. I want to beat these teams. Okay? I want to win. I talked about this already, so I don't need to harp on it. But I know the truth. We're not winning these games. So here's what I want to go through with you guys, because I need you guys to understand that while the number 1 overall pick is out of reach at this point, because Vegas, Titans, Giants, all at 2 wins, you're not catching any of those teams, but you're not catching all 3, right? I mean, the Vegas Raiders are the worst team in football right now. At least the Titans and the Giants are competitive. Vegas just got shut out by the Eagles, and they're non-competitive. They haven't been competitive basically in like a month since they played Denver. It's the only team they seem to be able to beat, even remotely close to beating, is the Denver Broncos. They suck, do the Vegas Raiders. They're not winning another game, more likely than not. Again, they do play the Giants, though. And so all bets are off. This is why I say that if you're a Commanders fan and you want the high draft pick, don't count us out of a top 5 pick just yet. Okay, so as you can see, last week and the week prior to that, we were 6th in the draft order. Okay, so a win on Sunday only dropped us 2 spots. Like, people were acting like, oh my God, we're out of the top 10. No, we're not. I already told you. The furthest down we'll probably go this season, again, assuming that we don't win anymore, the furthest down that we'll go is 9, is what I told you already. If we just win 1 more game, the furthest down we can travel is 9. You can see that. Cincinnati is going to win another game. I can't stress that to you enough. So Cincinnati is out of the way. Atlanta won, and we're going to talk about Atlanta here in a second, because Atlanta is doing the Lord's work, but Atlanta can be our best friend again this week for a different reason. Atlanta beating Tampa and upsetting the Buccaneers last year was the best thing that happened in week number, along with the Saints beating, and I told you the Saints are dangerous and they're going to win more games. So New Orleans may not be done winning games yet. They're highly competitive right now. So we win a game and we only dropped 2 spots. Why? Because Atlanta won, right? And I'm telling you right now, you're not catching Miami, Kansas City, none of the 6-win teams. You don't have to worry about them. So you can't get to 11 because you're not catching Miami. You're not catching Kansas City or Minnesota. And Atlanta could win this week. Atlanta could lose this week. We're going to take a look at that here in a second. But here's what I wanted to tell you. Arizona has a chance to win. Okay, right? Arizona has a chance to win. Arizona plays in one of the best divisions in football. All we have to do is finish tied with Arizona. You leapfrog them, right? Their strength of schedule tougher than ours because their division is so good with the 49ers, the Rams, and the Seahawks. We're not going to pass them on strength of schedule. You have to finish with a worse record than New Orleans if you want to pass. And New Orleans is going to win again. I'm going to show you why in a second. Follow me. Stay with me here. Okay. New Orleans is going to win again. New Orleans is going to win again this week. Okay. That's going to drop them behind us. Arizona could win this week. And if they do, they'll be tied with us at 4-11, assuming we lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, which I'm assuming. That's going to push us up to 6, right back where we were before we won. Okay. So no fret. All right. Now the Jets, they play New Orleans this week. Somebody's got to win, right? So look, somebody now, the Jets, their strength of schedule, not as impressive because their division isn't as good. But New England keeps winning. Buffalo's going to keep winning. I think we're safe, right? So somebody's going to end up at 4-11 or possibly 5-10. Either way, if the Jets win that game, they're 4-11. Their strength of schedule is better, so they get behind us. If New Orleans wins, they're 5-10. The record is better. They get behind us in line. Either way, we're moving on up like the Jeffersons, okay? So I just told you that either the Jets or New Orleans is going to be behind us this week, maybe for good. Arizona has a chance to jump behind us. Cleveland, you don't know if they're going to win another game or not. Okay. But I told you there's a chance you can get to 5, right? If 2 of these teams move out of our way, you're back up to 6. And then you're just either a Saints or a Jets win, right? Because whoever loses that game is going to still be ahead of us in the standings. But whoever wins that game is behind us in line. So you're literally a Jets or Saints win. And I personally want the Jets. I'll be rooting like hell for the Jets this week because I know New Orleans can beat somebody else. I don't know if the Jets can win another game. Now, I don't know who the Jets opponent is in week 18. I'll have to take a look at that to see who they're playing. They've already used up both of their Dolphins, so that's a good thing because you don't want a team that's actually out of it that's going to play hard in week 18. You want the Patriots, who've already locked up the number 1 seed or something like that. You want the Bills. Already can't win the division. They're the number 5 seed, can't get any higher. They're resting Josh Allen. That's what you want in week 18 for the Jets. Then they can get a win, right? We'll talk about all of those things as we get closer to that. We don't need to talk about that. We're still 3 weeks away from that. All I'm trying to convey to you is don't pay attention to the Giants, Vegas, the Raiders, the Giants, or the Titans. You're not catching any of those teams. You can't get any higher than 4, right? But we'll take the 4th pick in the draft. You got to finish with a worse record than Cleveland, though. You see their strength of schedule, their division is just as bad as ours, but worse. Okay, there's no Philadelphia Eagles in their division. There's no team that's going to win 10, 11 games in their division. Someone's going to win that division with 9 wins more likely than not, right? Steelers are going to lose this week to Detroit. And the Ravens, that division is going to be won with either 10 or 9 wins. You got to finish higher than Cleveland. I don't see that happening. I've got my eye on number 5, the number 5 pick overall. We can get to the 5th pick. You get a top 5 pick. Again, you're not going to be able to trade back for a quarter, with a team that's desperate for a quarterback or any of that. That's reserved for these top 3 teams. We screwed the pooch on that when we beat the Giants. But again, that's a part of the process. Yeah. I just want the top 5 pick because it's going to put you in a position to get an elite player of your choice. If we assume that at least 2 of these 3 teams ahead of us are going to draft quarterbacks, whether it's the Vegas Raiders, the Giants trade out of the pick and the Giants are no guarantee. They might beat Minnesota this week. They are going to beat the Vegas Raiders, right? They should at least. So I don't think the Giants are going to be in that position. But if Vegas gets the number 1 pick, they should be looking to take a quarterback, obviously. And the Titans and the Giants both have young quarterbacks that I think they believe in. So they're going to be looking to move out of the pick. Cleveland's not looking for a quarterback, so they'll be looking to move out of a pick if someone's interested. So I don't see us being able to take advantage of that, right? So you just want to get as high as you can, because while you may not be able to get out of the pick, no one's looking to come up and get, one of these players up off of you. You may be able to get yourself a home run of a draft pick. The higher you are, the better prospect you'll be able to select. So let me show you now why you should be very excited about this week's action. So this is week 16 right here in a nutshell. All right. There's some really important, impactful games if you're a part of the Commanders Tankathon mob, so to speak. Because here, Vikings, Giants. Again, Vikings feel like a team that's on the rise. We fixed them, as Rio said to me. We fixed the Giants and J.J. McCarthy. Feels like it. Feels like we fixed everyone. The Dolphins were on a losing streak when we played them. They beat us. We fixed them. They won 4 in a row, and then they got brought back down to earth on Monday night. But we fixed the Dolphins. We fixed the Vikings. It's what we do. We fix teams, right? Could the Giants upset the Vikings here? Very well could. The Giants could mess around, beat the Vikings, beat the Raiders the following week, and be tied with us in the, win in wins this season at 4. And all of a sudden, the Giants have a stronger strength of schedule than we do. And by virtue of that, they would get behind us in line. Like, the Giants aren't out of this thing yet. And they're not dumb enough. I shouldn't say that, because everybody wants to win. No one wants to lose. But we've seen the Giants late in the season win for no reason, like they did last year against Indianapolis. So the Giants aren't completely out of this thing yet, right? But that's not the game that really gets me excited. You come down here to the Jets and the Saints. You should be salivating if you're a Commanders fan. And yes, you have a side. Like, the Saints are beating quality teams and are competitive with quality teams right now. The Saints are going to win another game this season. They don't need to win this one against the Jets. I don't know how many more wins the Jets have. The Jets need to win this game. I don't think they're going to. It doesn't matter who wins this game. We win. No matter who, as long as it's not a tie, right? We win. Someone's getting behind us. Whether the Jets win and get to 4-11 and are tied with us, or the Saints win and they get to 5-10 and get behind us, whoever wins this game is behind us, and they're going to stay in the rearview mirror as long as we don't win. Okay? So we win no matter what, Jets, Saints. We can't lose as long as it's not a tie. How about Chiefs, Titans? Again, I don't think we're catching the Titans, but you just never know what the Titans situation is going to be down the stretch, who they play in week 18 in their division. Everybody stinks in that division. We'll see. They probably got Houston or somebody that'll be, looking to win in week 18 more likely than not. But again, I haven't looked down the road that far. But the Chiefs without Mahomes out of the playoffs, with Gardner Minshew starting, the Titans can absolutely win that game. You just never know. You just never know, right? Now, even if they were to win, I think the Titans' strength of schedule isn't that great, but the Texans continue to win. Indy feels like they're going in the wrong direction, but Jacksonville continues to win. All of a sudden, that strength of schedule starts to get better and better. If the Titans somehow manage to win 2 games down the stretch, they could beat the Chiefs and they could win in week 18. I'm just saying you should be watching that game closely. And then this is the second biggest game. If Jets Saints is the biggest game for us in terms of, somebody has to get behind us, this is the next one. This is the biggest rooting interest of the week, non-Commanders related. You should be rooting like hell for the Arizona Cardinals to beat the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons, the Cardinals aren't going to win many more games. Okay. They play hard. Their offense is good enough that they're just not good enough defensively right now. And so, but the Falcons, you don't know which one's going to show up, right? If the team that showed up on Thursday night against the Buccaneers shows up, the Cardinals aren't going to win that game. But you get to Kirk, he starts throwing the football away. You know, you never know what happens. They can slow down Bijan. The Cardinals are capable of scoring enough points to win. You should be rooting like hell for the Cardinals to win that game. And it's a very winnable game. One of the last games they'll probably have a realistic shot to win at home. You should be rooting like hell for Arizona to win, because if they win that game, they'll be tied with us at 4-11, and their strength of schedule is way better than ours because they play in the best division in football. We just need them to be tied with us. I don't know if they'll win another game this season. This is probably their best chance. You should be rooting for the Arizona Cardinals like hell this week to beat the Atlanta Falcons. And no matter what happens in Jets Saints, I prefer the Jets to win personally, because the Saints are going to win again at some point anyway. And if the Jets win, they get behind us, and then the Saints win down the road, both will be behind us. Then you get to number 5, right? If the Cardinals win, the Jets win, and then the Saints go and win down the road, you're the number 5th pick in the 2026 NFL draft, assuming we don't win another game. And that's the best we can do, I think, at this point. Again, the Giants could get frisky, beat the Vikings. They're going to win next week against the Raiders, or the Giants. And voila, they're behind us now. Like, we still have a chance to get as high as 4. The Titans aren't winning 2 games. They're not going to win 2 games. So I wouldn't, that's a bit ambitious. But the Giants beating the Vikings this week, snapping their losing streak. We've seen crazier things happen. And then beating the Raiders next week is not out of the realm of possibility, folks. You get the Cardinals to win, you get the Jets to win, the Saints win in one of the final 2 games of the season, and then the Giants win 2 more. You're the 4th pick in the draft, assuming we don't win a game, of course, which none of us believe we're winning again this season. I shouldn't say none of us. Most of us don't think we're winning again this season. So, again, I'm just telling you, I know we won, and that really frustrated some of you last week. Don't be. Like, you swept the Giants. I personally, I don't care one way or the other. If we lose, I'm not upset. If we win, I'm happy. I'm happy. Right? I want to beat the Eagles. I don't want the Eagles going into the playoffs with confidence. We'll talk about that later on tonight on Commanders Nightly News. And you know I want to beat the Cowboys. It's not happening, though. Of all the games that are left, the 3, the Cowboys one is the one that feels the most out of reach. I wouldn't be shocked if we beat Philadelphia on Saturday. I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be shocked if Philadelphia has absolutely nothing to play for in Week 18, which it feels very real that they won't at this point. And thus, they rest their starters, and we beat their JV squad. Again, those 2 games feel winnable. The one sandwiched in between versus Dallas doesn't feel winnable. That does not feel winnable. So, anyway, I digress. We have a shot at a top 5 pick, a very realistic shot at getting the number 5 overall pick. And if the Giants are feeling frisky and decide to beat Minnesota, we'll be the 4th pick in the draft, assuming we don't. And I have to keep saying this because you don't know. Dan Quinn is pushing the hell out of this, NFC East tournament narrative. He's pushing the hell out of it. So he's getting them to believe that they're actually in a real March Madness style tournament and they have to win to survive. They're buying into this shit. So who knows? They may actually think that they're playing for something more than just pride here at this point. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section. I see one super chat. Whoa. It's from my guy, Darnell Kelly. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, and thank you for your generosity, man. Can't thank you enough. Really, truly do appreciate you, DK, my guy. Right. Shout out to Sleeper. 20 got me 2 rounds. Woo! Hell yeah, Darnell. Hell yeah. Okay, now I see why you blessing me. Hell yeah, Darnell. You damn right. You got me hyped. He said would have been 4 if I would have put Brook Lopez in the game for the last 2 minutes in a blowout. He wasn't getting 3 rebounds. You know how that shit go, man. I told you a blowout is the enemy of any ticket. A blowout is the worst thing that could happen because whatever you need, especially if it's from starters on either side, you're dead, right? Shit, I wish you would have got the 4, but I'm pumped you got the 2, bruh. 20 turned into 2 racks, bruh. I love it, man. Hell yeah. He says, I had to undertell Ed, B. Ray Sherman, no flex zone. No flex zone. Hey, no flex zone. Hey, they know better. They know better. Hey, go get that money. Go get the money. Go get the money. He said, yeah, we not flexing shit. You're not coming away with that bread if you flex, bro. If you play it safe. I mean, again, a wise man once told me, so slow money is better than no money. And if you subscribe to that, which I do, in certain instances, this is not one of them. Slow money is better than no money. Slow progress is better than no progress. I'm a subscriber to that. So that's Ed's mindset. I'd much rather come away with something than nothing. But I'm greedy, man. I want it all. And if you flex, you're not coming away with it all, right? Anyway. So shout out to you, man. I'm excited for you, bro. I'm excited for you. Hell yeah. My guy, Darnell. Go get the money. Go get the money. Go get the money. Go get the money. Let's go, man. At least somebody out here getting to the bread, man. Pass me some of that good juju, some of that good energy, bro. Shout out to Sleeper. You see Sleeper's out here blessing folks, man, in the holiday season. Go get the money. Anyway, I digress. You guys have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to be live throughout the day. I've got the kickback session shortly here after this stream is done. I've got Commanders Nightly News, and then I'm live with Candy Waller for Seawall Wednesdays tonight at 8:30 p. So you're going to see quite a bit of me tonight. Hopefully, I'll see quite a bit of you. But if not, you know where to find me in any event. You guys, have a good one. Take care. This team is not out of a position to get a top 5 pick. You know, a lot of you thought they did irreparable damage. Yeah, sure, they can't get the number 1 pick. Probably weren't going to end up with that anyway. I mean, somebody's going to end up with 2 wins, right? Whether it's the Titans, Raiders, the Giants won't, because they got to play the Raiders. They're going to beat them more likely than not. You just never know with the Giants, but somebody's going to end up not winning another game. It feels like the Raiders and the Titans probably won't win another game this season. I wouldn't count out the Titans, but the Raiders are certainly not beating anyone. Again, I say that they play the Giants. So someone's going to end up with 2 wins. We weren't going to catch them anyway, but we can still get a top 5 pick. And if the Giants are feeling froggy and decide to beat Minnesota, we could end up with a top 4 pick. Don't count us out just yet. We could still win some games ourselves. So anyway, you guys take care. See you later. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. Peace.